The relief steamer Hesperus cut through the cold grey waters of the North Atlantic. Its destination was the remote Flannan Isles, a lonely cluster of rocks off the west coast of Scotland. It was the day after Christmas, 1900. Captain James Harvey was on a routine mission to deliver supplies and relieve one of the 3 lighthouse keepers stationed on the main island, Eileen Moore. But as the ship drew closer, a sense of unease settled over the crew. The lighthouse was dark. It should have been shining, a steady pulse of light against the winter gloom. The flagpole stood bare. Captain Harvey ordered the ship's horn to be sounded. The blast echoed across the waves. There was no reply. No figures appeared on the landing stage. No signal came from the towering white structure that was supposed to be a home to 3 men. Thomas Marshall, James Ducat, Donald McArthur. A small boat was lowered into the choppy sea, carrying Joseph Moore. He was to be the first to set foot on the island, and why the men had fallen into such a profound, unsettling silence. Moore climbed the steep stone steps. The silence felt heavy. Gulls cried overhead, mocking the emptiness. He reached the main entrance, closed but unlocked. This was wrong. The keepers were meticulous. A latch door was protocol. He called out their names. Only the wind answered, whipping around solid stone walls. Inside, wrongness deepened. The main living quarters were eerily still, dust thick on surfaces, the hearth cold, ashes dead, a single kitchen chair overturned, a jarring detail in a place of order. The clock on the wall had stopped, hands frozen. The men were gone. In the small sleeping quarters, the beds were neatly made, untouched. Everything was in its proper place, a testament to the disciplined lives the keepers led. The men's personal belongings were all present, their pipes and tobacco left behind on a table. It was as if they had simply vanished from the middle of their daily existence, leaving the quiet shell of their lives behind for others to find. The mystery was not just that they were gone, but how they had gone. One of the most perplexing discoveries was found in the entrance hall. A set of oilskins, the heavy waterproof gear essential for anyone venturing outside into the Atlantic weather, was left hanging on its hook. Only one set was missing. This suggested that 2 of the keepers, Thomas Marshall and James Ducat, had rushed out into the elements without their protective clothing. This was an almost unthinkable act for experienced seamen. The weather in the Outer Hebrides could turn in an instant, and to face it unprepared was to invite disaster. It hinted at an event so sudden and so urgent that it overruled all training and common sense. The official Lighthouse logbook, kept to record daily events and observations, offered the most chilling clues of all. The final entries were written by Thomas Marshall. They began on December 12th, describing a severe storm that had descended upon the island. He wrote of winds, the like of which he had never seen in 20 years. He noted that James Ducat had been very quiet, and that the 3rd keeper, Donald McArthur, had been crying. The last entry was dated December 15th. It was brief and cryptic. Storm ended. Sea calm. God is over all. After that, there was nothing. The logbook simply stopped. The slate used for jotting down notes before making official entries was also found. Its last message, recorded for the morning of December 15th, was wiped clean. The sequence of events described in the log seemed to provide a narrative: a ferocious storm, immense fear, and then a sudden calm. But this narrative was about to be challenged by a fact that made the entire situation even more baffling and sinister. The logbook entries painted a vivid picture of a terrifying tempest. Thomas Marshall described severe winds that had kept the men trapped inside for days, their nerves frayed to the breaking point. He wrote of the elements battering their stone tower, a fortress built to withstand the Atlantic. Donald McArthur, the tough ex-soldier, was described weeping with fear, suggesting an almost apocalyptic event. At first, this seemed like the key to the puzzle, but a subsequent investigation by the Northern Lighthouse Board uncovered a startling contradiction. Robert Muirhead, the superintendent, checked weather reports from surrounding areas. He found no record of any storm. Shore stations on the Isle of Lewis and ship logs from the area between December 12th and 14 all reported clear, calm weather. With the physical evidence providing more questions than answers, theories began to swirl around the fate of the 3 keepers. The official explanation put forward by Superintendent Muirhead settled on a tragic accident. He concluded that on the afternoon of December 15th, Marshall and Ducat had gone down to the western landing to secure a supply crate during a sudden swell. He theorized that McArthur, the third keeper, had followed them from the Lighthouse. A massive, unexpected rogue wave then swept over the platform, washing all three men into the churning sea. This would explain the missing oilskins and the men's disappearance. This theory, while, plausible, did not satisfy everyone. Experienced mariners questioned whether two of the men would have ventured out in such dangerous conditions without their protective gear. Why would all three men have left the lighthouse unattended? A serious breach of the Northern Lighthouse Board's rules. The idea of a single wave taking all three men at once seemed to many an unlikely coincidence. Furthermore, the damage to the landing platform, which Muirhead cited as evidence of the wave's power, was noted to be less severe than what one might expect from a wave capable of sweeping three men from a high cliff. Inevitably, darker speculations emerged. The theory of foul play gained traction among those who found the accident scenario just a bit too neat. Could a fight have broken out among the men? Perhaps the strange logbook entries were a fabrication to cover up a violent altercation. One popular version of this theory suggested that McArthur and Marshall, known to have a fractious relationship, came to blows. Beyond the realms of accident and murder lay more outlandish possibilities. Some whispered of a giant sea serpent. Others imagined a ghostly longboat filled with spectral figures that lured the men to their doom. Others suggested alien abduction, a theory that gained popularity much later in the 20th century. These stories, while lacking any evidence, spoke to the profound sense of the unknown that surrounded the case. The complete absence of bodies, the strange logbook, and the eerie silence they left behind created a void that people rushed to fill with their deepest fears and wildest imaginations. Over a century has passed since Thomas Marshall, James Ducat, Donald McArthur disappeared from Eileen Moor. The lighthouse was remanned, automated in 1971, and it continues to cast its lonely light across the waves. But the mystery of what happened in December 1900 has never been solved. No bodies were ever recovered from the sea, no deathbed confessions ever emerged, no further evidence has ever come to light that could definitively explain the strange sequence of events. The case remains officially recorded as an accident, but it lives on in the public imagination as a profound and unsolved enigma. The official rogue wave theory remains the most logical and widely accepted explanation. It accounts for the disappearance of all three men at once and aligns with the known dangers of the Scottish coastline. And yet it fails to quiet the nagging doubts. It does not explain the phantom storm in the logbook. It does not fully account for why two veteran keepers would run out into perilous weather without their oilskins. The theory provides a possible how, but it never touches upon the deeply unsettling why. The story changes depending on who is telling it, reflecting our own beliefs about order, chaos, and the limits of human understanding in the face of the unknown. Ultimately, the story of the lost keepers of Eileen Moor endures because it is a true ghost story for the modern age. It is a mystery stripped down to its bare essentials. Three men, one isolated lighthouse, and a sudden, inexplicable silence. The overturned chair, the untouched meal, the stopped clock. These are the classic ingredients of a haunting. In an age where science and technology claim to have an answer for everything, the Flannan Isles enigma serves as a powerful reminder that some questions may never be answered. The silence of the island continues to echo, a permanent monument to the men who were there one moment and gone the next. #Flannan Isles, #unsolved mystery, #true crime, #lighthouse mystery, #the unusual record.